Hey everybody, Mr. Awesome here, and I'm playing right now a Medal of Honor Tier 1 game mode, which I'll go into detail a little bit later, but this is part 1 of 2 of my Medal of Honor review. Part 2 will be all about the online multiplayer, so don't worry, that's coming. But this is just about the game itself and the single player mode. Now to start off, I just want to note that I feel like I negatively biased myself by watching the first hour of the campaign on GameTrailers.com. Because I know now where everyone is. I know where the enemies are, and I know what they're going to be doing, and I also know which way they're going to be spotting up to shoot me. And, that really bothers me because immediately I get the feeling that this game is all about shooting stationary targets. But in the end, I get over myself and I realize that everyone watching these reviews, they're already biased. I mean, really, they really are. Everyone's going to be comparing this to Modern Warfare 2 or some other game that they enjoy playing, and that gets like to be a good thing if you want to always compare yourself to crap. Just kidding, guys. Don't flame me. So this brings me to my first topic: enemy AI. Now, if you haven't noticed, I'm playing on the hard difficulty, and yet it still feels very easy. And I am definitely not beast, just kind of like that fail right there. I'm not beast in this game. It's really hard. I mean, you have to be pretty bad if you're gonna die all the time. It's not a lot of punishment to come your way if you mess up. And since the enemies don't infinitely respawn and they're not overpowered, and I think also because they spawn in the exact same way every time you play the game, I think that the enemy AI is okay but not great. They're pretty accurate, especially if you're not in cover, but they don't flank, stack up, or use any type of tactics whatsoever. They don't even reposition themselves very often. I mean, that guy kind of did, but if you play this level over and over again, you'll realize he makes that same route every time. What else can I say about them? I just think that they're really, really predictable, and they're in locations that are predictable as well. I've gone to new locations and just knew where the enemy was going to be coming from. So, enough of the enemies. Let's go talk about the friendlies, the squad mates, your buddies. Well, actually, to start off, I just want to note there's no penalty for friendly fire. Nor do you have to worry about them surviving, which actually turns them into the best meat shields in any game ever. They don't kill a lot of bad guys. They just shoot at them enough to draw the enemy fire so that you know where they're coming from without sticking your neck too much out in the open, which is kind of good, right? But the only thing that they're really useful for is to double as ammo supplies. If you stand next to one and you press, I think it's a square PS3 and the X button on the 360, they throw you a clip, but it's not a regular clip like 30 rounds or something like that. I'll throw you the magic clip and it'll give you max ammo for that gun. The gun that you're holding when you ask for the clip. And they kind of rip on you a little bit if you excessively abuse it, but they'll still give you the clip, so it doesn't really matter. And on top of that, this really exploits a major flaw in the game. Infinite ammo is not a good thing. Literally, you never have to worry about conserving your fire or even picking up an enemy gun. In my opinion, the total ammo count for each gun, if they're going to keep the ammo supply thing going on, it needs to be reduced by at least half. Instead of holding 300-400 rounds, just give me 150 or 200 at the most, and I can only ask for 2 clips or something like that. I don't know. Oh, also, this 3-gun thing is crap. Seriously, you get a primary, you get a secondary, and you get a pistol. That's garbage, man. And in order to fix that, I say just take one of those guns out. Primary, of course, but either a secondary or a pistol, one or the other, and have your friendlies die or be like, oh, I'm shot, I need a medic, I can't continue on, but I'll continue on in story, something like that, where I can't continue to keep resupplying off of them, because it does a disservice to the guns. I think the guns in this game are extremely fun to use. I love using this gun. Even in real life, this is my favorite gun, but aside from the point, it's fun to shoot. It's fun to fire. And although I haven't used a lot of other guns because you don't need to. I can say that to account for your accuracy, you definitely don't want to white knuckle anything, but you also don't ever have to worry about leading your shots or accounting for distance or wind. These aren't flaws in the game whatsoever, guys. They're not flaws, but I think imagine how much better the game would be if you actually had to account for those types of things. So, sounds. I think the sounds, explosions, bullets, footsteps, voices. I think these are all. This is actually obviously one of the strong points of this game, and I've only experienced eargasms like this in other true sim military games like Operation Flashpoint, Arma, or even the modern shooter Bad Company 2. Well, I guess it's DICE, so what are you gonna do? Now, I can't comment. I won't comment too much on the story because I'm not one that's ever cared about stories in shooter campaigns. To me, a shooter with a great story is just icing on the cake and not the cake itself. I really just want to play something that, I don't know, takes up 5-7 hours of my time, where I'm just moving from one area to another, and so long as the game keeps me engaged in a firefight and the environment, the closer to a non-stop close quarter action game that resembles a war zone, the better. So long as it's realistic enough to only fire bullets and not blue, green, purple energy blasts. Other than that, I'm good. And let's face it, cutscenes and a plot are nice to have, but are nothing compared to a chance to blow something up in a cool way, or just give me an RPG and I kill a guy or something like that. That's fun. I don't want to see the cutscene just do it by himself. Make me have to do it. Graphics. That brings you right along to graphics. It's another subject I don't really care about in full detail. I come from a generation of gamers that very few actually still survive, where it's not about what the game looks like, it's what the game feels like. If a game looks great, then it looks great by definition. But if it doesn't look great, does it look normal? I don't think so. In fact, if it wasn't great, it would be called bad. People would look negatively to a game if it wasn't great looking. And so this begs the question. In fact, I'm asking this out to everyone here. Is a great looking game or a bad looking game a normal looking game? Does it really matter? What is normal? To me, if the cutscenes are gorgeous, again, that's more icing on the cake because nobody plays in a cutscene. But for me, being realistic and logic minded, I am an engineer. If the game presents itself fantastically, then that's even more incentive for me to buy it, but it's in no way a requirement. Lastly, if the fancy cutscenes were taken out entirely and only gameplay was used as a cutscene, I'd love that even more, because to me the transition from cutscene to gameplay would be seamless, kind of like the opening scene in this game. It could be better, but whatever. I wouldn't have two visions of the same characters. My only other concern with graphics is just smoothness. Going back to this game, in the next level, there are times when the frame rate drops tremendously and it's horrible, and the game just doesn't keep up with what's going on at that time, I guess. And that's a big flaw. That's very bad. But fortunately, it's not often. It's only in those very active scenes. But each time it happens, I can't help but think man, this game is garbage. But in general, I'd rather have a normal textures and normal looks in the trade-off for smoother gameplay any day. Minecraft, there is a game that you don't need graphics so long as it's smooth, and I rest my case with that. So now, when I first started this review, I gave Medal of Honor a solid 7 because I know it's a few steps behind its predecessors, and that I wouldn't want to play this game for long. But now look at it in another view. Those other games are rated higher because they're all around better games, but that doesn't mean this is automatically going to drop off even farther. If those are getting 9.5s and 10s, this doesn't get a 7 just because it doesn't stack up to those games. Those are great games. more or less. But my other view is that this game is based on real locations currently being used as war zones, where real people who are portrayed as characters are currently deployed and are still alive, and it's real conflict. For me, this provides a level of appreciation to, I think, what the developers went for and aimed for, and I'm gonna give them brownie points for that, because you don't have to, but I do, because people are really out there fighting and dying today, and this is a legitimate chance for you to get the glimmer of perspective of realism from the comfort of your own home. And so I think, yeah, there's other shooters that are more realistic gun-wise and so on, and there's other shooters that are more visually stimulating, or at times even more fun to play, but that doesn't mean it's not nice to also play a game that's based on a world that we're currently living in today. And rather than recreating and fictionalizing past history to make a game play out 10 plus hours and using fictional people or stories, take the game for what it is and not what you think the game should be better than, and you'll have a good time with it. Final thoughts, and this is a rant by all means, but stop comparing this game and any other shooter for that matter to Modern Warfare 2 or any other game, because what you're doing is you're cutting yourself short. And you're performing a disservice to gamers rather than helping out their cause of playing games. I mean, if you consider yourself a gamer like I do for myself, I think you have to have one major quality, and that's being able to play a game for what it is and not as an identity for a genre. I think that by doing so, you give yourself a false sense of what you enjoy or what you think the masses of people would enjoy, therefore you should play. And if you don't comprehend this, I think in turn you're just spawning shittier, unappreciative gamers. And the last thing I think we need is a game to just be like something else that already exists. I mean, we don't need Modern Warfare 2 too. Or we don't need, all these other games. But, and that's fine. If you love Modern Warfare 2, by all means play it. I play it every now and then. But if you love to play shooters in general, then I think that you need to keep a general position in what you enjoy in a shooter. To me, that's just balance and fun. Either way, I think you should just pick a position and stick with it. Ghost Recon, Battlefield, SOCOM, Halo, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor. These are all great franchises that should have their own category in the gaming world rather than be compared to each other, because to me it's not about what game is the best. It's about taking the best qualities that game individually has to offer and enjoying it. Because as a gamer, it's all about gaming. And I think that that's also the overall consensus game developers focus on. And so yeah, I think that's solid 7 to an 8.5, because it provides a realistic perspective to a shooter and it keeps it fun. And are they original? No way. But this game's fresh and fun. So in addition to the tier 1 campaign option, that mode in itself is really the deciding factor of awesomeness this game can have. By actually skipping the entire co-op feature and saying, here, you know what, play this and try to do it better than your friends by completing it faster. Oh, and you know what, we'll throw in time bonuses for headshots. And this reminds me of what Resident Evil did, where you had a time limit to finish the campaign, but instead of meeting a time requirement in this game, you get all the time in the world. All the time in the world to be accurate, swift, lethal, and see where you stack up as an operative gamer compared to your peers. And to me, for kicking the balls, that feels pretty good. So lastly, I'm gonna just click the screen and it'll take you to a music video / trailer of Medal of Honor. And I think that for perspective readjustment purposes, it's pretty good to watch if you want to enjoy this game and not get stuck wishing it were something else. I really think it'll put you in the mood to play with tactics and precision, and just play the game for what it is. For that, you're welcome, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.